Toyota and Ford, well, primarily Toyota, but also Ford have said this. They claim prices for their cars could be up to $20,000 more expensive because of emissions standards. They're lobbying against them, saying they're doing this for the good of you. This will help you if they lobby against them, get them cancelled because this will prevent you from paying $20,000 more for your next car. Toyota is saying that emission standards are not fair. They shouldn't apply. It's all too difficult. In fact, it's lobbying against emission standards in the United States, in Europe, and also in Australia in an effort to sell more cars because honestly, it's all just too much if you have these emission standards. It's going to, they say, make customers pay thousands of dollars more for cars. In fact, Toyota claims that you as a customer will be paying around 10 to 20% more for cars from everyone this year and next year, particularly in Australia, but also in other countries. If these emission standards go ahead, you will suffer. And that's how this is all going to play out. Is that really accurate? Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching The Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. Emission standards are meant to be rolling out this year in Europe, in Australia, and they're meant to be rolling out as well in America. Toyota Australia has called on the government to reconsider the rollout of its new vehicle efficiency standard, or NVES, which officially commenced last week. In fact, Toyota has been lobbying hard against all of these governments I've just mentioned over the past couple of years to stop these emission standards from going ahead. From January the 1st, the local auto industry in Australia formally entered a 6-month grace period for the NVES, which mandates emission standards for all new vehicles and will apply penalties and credits from July the 1st. Under the scheme, car makers will be issued credits or monetary fines based on their CO2 tailpipe emissions targets for new passenger and light commercial vehicles sold in Australia. Toyota says that because of these penalties that they are going to incur, they will have to raise prices significantly for consumers, and all this will do is hurt consumers. It won't improve air quality, which obviously it's aimed to do, to make your health better. All this will do is mean you'll be paying more for a new car. Manufacturers must meet a stipulated CO2 per gram kilometre figure on average across their new vehicle lineups to avoid paying fines to the government. This applies in Europe and Australia to the order of $100 per gram per kilometre for every vehicle sold above the thresholds. For 2025, the mandate for passenger cars is 141 grams per kilometre of CO2, with light commercial vehicles set at 210 grams per kilometre. Now, these numbers are actually pretty high. In Europe, the numbers are much lower. They're around 90 grams per kilometre. So the numbers for Australia are, in my opinion, easily achievable. So I don't really understand why Toyota feels the need to lobby against this. I think that really we're dealing with, I don't like saying the word evil, but this is kind of evil. Why would they do this? Like, why would they think it's necessary if these numbers are so high? 141 grams per kilometre for normal cars, light commercials, 210. That's much, much higher than the standards in Europe. Speaking with Car Expert this week, Toyota Australia Vice President of Sales, Marketing and Franchise Operations, Sean Hanley, he's basically their head honcho in Australia. He says everything. He declared the current rollout, which implements stricter standards from January the 1st each year until 2029, should not go ahead. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that NVES should be stopped, but what I would ask if I had time with the government or opposition, I would ask them to reconsider it. Now, he has said that the result of this will mean car prices will go up, and this will hurt everyone. Under the current NVES regime, the 2026 fleet average CO2 target will be 117 grams per kilometre for one passenger or Type 1 vehicles, 180 grams per kilometre for light commercials or Type 2 vehicles, and then it will reduce to 92 grams per kilometre, 68 in 2028 and 58 in 2029. Now, assuming that around 50% of cars sold in 2029 are EVs, this standard would be actually very easy to meet because it would mean actually emissions from cars wouldn't have to go down at all. I mean, if you're at 120 for the average internal combustion cars you're selling, and assuming they're not even going to be hybrids by then, which they would be, but even if you're at 120, then if 50% of cars are EVs that you sell, then it's easy to hit because that 58 grams would be divided by the EVs you sell. So you can easily just keep it at 120. In other words, these emission standards are actually not difficult at all. But basically, Toyota's saying, we don't plan on selling a lot of EVs, so they will be difficult for us. Will car prices go up? Well, Toyota might increase their prices. That might be true. They've been threatening this. Other brands, Ford, have threatened the same thing. But if they do this, it'll only hurt them. There are so many manufacturers coming into the game. Geely, look what Geely's doing. Geely aren't going to be saying. Geely are not saying this stuff. Geely are not lobbying any governments. BYD are not lobbying any governments. XPeng is not lobbying anyone. Tesla's not lobbying anyone to change these emission standards. I don't know what Musk is up to, but as far as I know, all those companies are not getting involved with this. They're like, yeah, okay, no problem. I mean, Tesla would probably not have a problem with this, considering they've made now nearly $11 billion US dollars from tax credits, from carbon credits, from the sale of these emissions credits from other manufacturers. It's great for Tesla. The only companies that are lobbying against this are companies who say, no one wants our EVs. We don't make good EVs. We're not confident that we can actually increase our EV sales. So therefore, these targets will be hard for us to actually hit. Lobbying against this stuff, in my opinion, is counterproductive. Rather than doing that, maybe work on having EV production lines, because whilst Toyota believes, well, they have said, EV sales will never, ever, ever go above 30% worldwide. Never will, not even by 2080. Probably dealing with reality could be a better option. What I suggest to Toyota is, well, having a look at the numbers, right? EV sales worldwide are already at 25%. Toyota, in other words, is saying EV sales will never, ever go up from where they're at now. We're already hit nearly 30% in December of last year for worldwide percentage of EV sales. Really, the truth is that by 2030, we'll be closer to 80% at least, possibly more than that. Toyota only has one choice. It's either become Nissan and hope that somebody can take over you and bail you out, like what Honda is doing. Not that that's going to work out long term anyway. Or they simply get acquired by some other Chinese company who are willing to do this, to actually improve their cars, to improve. Geely's probably a good candidate because they've acquired many other brands. My suggestion then, Toyota, is, just do everything you can to make yourself as attractive as possible to Geely. I'm sure that they'll make an offer for you at some point in time. I mean, even though you guys are going to you have $190 billion US dollars in debt, which is an enormous anchor hanging around your necks, I'm sure that the Geely brand can pay that out in some way and will be willing to become your daddies. So that's really what's going to happen here. Toyota will be calling someone else daddy, because they are, rather than actually producing more of the product that people do want, making that product better, they've got the worst EV in its class. The Toyota BZ4X is the worst EV in its class. Name something worse. If you don't think it is, if you've got one, name something worse. Please, in the comments, let me know what it is. If you can come up with one, I'll give you a special prize. I'll do a video just for you. Just saying you were right, you proved me right. Name something a similar price to a Toyota BZ4X that's worse. Anyway, and don't say the Ford Mustang Mach-E. The Mach-E is better. Guys, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.